All right, 23 executive orders after the Sandy Hook tragedy was not enough for President Obama. That was him from his weekly address on Saturday, renewing his call for tighter gun control and more focus on mental health care on the anniversary of the tragic event. While a greater focus on mental health is needed, we're going to have our Second Amendment eroded before we even get there. Joining us now as part of our Grassroots citizen panel to debate the topic is, seated to my left, Jordan Bostic, with the founder of Vocalize.com, kind of like a Facebook page for nonpartisan politics.
Yeah, it's a debate site for people that are interested in politics. You can create your own news articles and send them to your friends and educate your own community.
Well, let's get them educated.
Yeah, we should.
All right. Seated next to Jordan is Audrea Taylor, president of I Am Tomorrow. Describe I Am Tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm Tomorrow is a youth organization, and our mission is to engage millennials in being a part of the decisions that are affecting our futures.
Well, they were involved, but on the wrong side in this most recent election.
Not involved enough. Not involved enough.
And seated next to Audrea is Michelle Burton, attorney and president of the nonprofit Run Women Run, which recruits female candidates who believe in
pro-choice.
Pro-choice.
Yep.
Do you think we need more? I mean, is there
We need more women in office, period. We need more women.
I agree with that.
I think we'd all agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's start with this idea, of course, the tragedy over the late last week and again in outside of Denver, outside of Littleton, Colorado. What do you think, Michelle Burton? Are we going to watch our Second Amendment rights are eroded before our very eyes? 23 executive orders, more coming.
Our Second Amendment rights are going to be eroded. No, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm sorely disappointed that Congress has been able to do nothing about gun control and reinstitute the ban on assault weapons. I don't see why anybody needs an assault rifle for any purpose whatsoever. And that is not going to erode the Second Amendment. What it's going to do is keep guns out of people's hands that decide to use them for the wrong purpose.
What do you think, Audrey? I see a smile.
Yeah, you know, when we look at a lot of these horrific tragedies that have happened, they're happening in gun-free zones. So just prohibiting someone from having a firearm isn't always solving the problem. And we see, though, the conversation shifting. It's shifting from guns to the mental health. And I think that's really where the conversation should be.
Where are these gun-free zones? Well, in America, where are they?
I think
we saw one in the theater.
Did.
We saw one in the theater.
And Aurora was one of them. But I think that the fact
that doesn't mean that somebody can't get a gun and drive into a gun-free zone.
But I think that proves the point, though, that it's the mental health of that person that has the gun or does not have the gun.
That is not true.
We saw this from President Obama when he said just over the weekend they were talking about mental institutions. They were talking about awareness and education for teachers regarding mental institutions. And so I think there's a lot of this that is really shifting in the right direction, that it's the mental health of someone.
I think there's also two things we need to understand when we're talking about gun control. First of all, is it even possible? And second of all, the cause, mental health. I think these two things are being ignored when it comes to the gun debate. And it's unfortunate that, 23 executive orders on this. If this were coming from the other side, I think you would be very upset. I mean, we're talking about our freedoms being eroded. I think executive orders are an example of our freedoms.
Let's not forget that George Bush had more executive orders at this point in his presidency than President Obama does. So the executive order is something that every president uses.
Michelle,
it is having no effect on the erosion of the Second Amendment.
Michelle,
are you willing to put a sign in your front yard, proud home of a gun-free home?
I didn't say gun-free. I said assault rifle bans, assault weapons. I did not say gun-free. I believe that people should be entitled to own guns, handguns, for the protection of themselves, which is envisioned by the Second Amendment. But they should not have ammunition where they can walk into a school and take out 16 or 20 people. Nobody needs that. The assault rifle ban worked under President Clinton. The buyback in Australia worked.
So where do you stop it at? We've had Australians on and say it hasn't worked. What's happened is crime has gone up in Australia with non-gun related items.
Well, look, Rick, the gun is a great equalizer, right? If you have a knife and the other side has a knife, you're going to think twice if that person's bigger than you before doing something.
Right.
If you have a gun, you're just going to pull the trigger. So a gun is an equalizer for somebody that might not think about doing something if they have to use physical force or they have to use a knife to take somebody else out. So yes, there may be an increase in other types of violence.
Yes, that's a good thing. Yeah?
But that person is not taking out 16 or 20 people. There has not been one mass murder in Australia since the buyback and instituting the assault weapons ban.
I think that it's a joke to assume that these criminals are going to obey the law when they're already breaking the law, and we're assuming that they're not going to use assault rifles if they're simply illegal.
Right.
And I think that that's a really important thing to consider. These are people that are mentally ill, and they're already not abiding by the law.
You
And
take
let's
away
go back
access.
to something you said earlier, Michelle, when you said, well, Bush did it. Bush had this many executive orders.
He did.
To me, I don't care what Bush did. We're talking about President Obama. And I think that we should hold all of them accountable.
Well, executive orders have their place. They have their place.
Democrat, independent, it's all unacceptable.
And President Obama's executive orders haven't really accomplished anything with gun control anyway.
But I'm sure you don't appreciate that argument when people are talking about Obama and they say, well, Bush did it, or, well, Nancy Pelosi did it too.
Well,
it doesn't matter who
what
did
I
it,
don't
you're holding them
appreciate
all
is when they
accountable.
make it seem like President Obama is the only one that's ever used the executive order.
No, I don't think we're not saying he's the only one. Other presidents have done it, but when a president overrides the voice of the people, overrides Congress, I think it's very dangerous, regardless of Republican, Democrat. I don't think it makes a difference.
You know, and it is a Second Amendment issue related to a sort of a side topic. It shows the absurdity of what's happening in society, and I think President Obama and his administration have created the hysteria I'm about to mention. So a passenger in an airport over the weekend or last week gets pulled aside by TSA for having a sock puppet with a 2-inch gun on it. What's your take on that? Is it just? Are we just gone to an extreme in society? Is it a TSA issue? Is it a Second Amendment issue brought up to hysteria levels by the Obama administration?
The word hysteria is perfect because you see this happening across schools. A kid's using this hand as a gun symbol, and somebody's
crazy.
They're getting kicked out of school. It's a little over the top, I think, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's very over the top. This was a 2-inch gun, pretend 2-inch gun. It's where common sense has gone out the door in these situations, and I think that it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
Well, at the end of the day, the TSA agent didn't take the gun away, right? She just identified it, which is their role. They're supposed to catch things that look like weapons. So I don't agree with them confiscating and taking things away.
The agent confiscated it.
They threatened to call police.
We've seen.
They did not call the police, though.
We've seen what you alluded to, Jordan. 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kids expelled from school for making a hand gesture.
Yeah, I think it's encouraging this whole anti-gun hysteria in the United States. And honestly, guns are not only a negative thing, they also protect people. I personally feel much more safe knowing that there's a gun in my house, registered.
Absolutely.
And if somebody were to try to break in, I can protect myself. If I'm a woman, if someone tried to rape me, I could protect myself.
Especially with this knockout game going across, I would think women and the elderly would like to have a gun.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that most of the deaths among children under 12 years old related to guns are from actual owners of guns that have accidents.
Most of the deaths?
12-year-old
children
on
that.
Yes.
I think even so, though, if that
We got to right there to tell me. We'll continue the conversation.
Of gun owners with gun accidents.
That's an education thing, though.
All right, we're back right after this.